We're on the road again. Birds 365 is on the road again with Bob Grotz. He's John McMullen, and I'm your guy, Tone Deshields II. Man, Bob, man, you're always on the road, man. You got to tell us, where are you always going?
Well, right now I'm at the dollar store, believe it or not.
The dollar store? I thought you were
Yeah.
going to be at Royal Farms, man.
I tried to. I didn't have enough time. Yeah, I was running a little bit late, traffic a little bit more than what I'm used to. I usually don't get up that early, but I'm always glad to get up for Birds 365.
It's a pleasure. Now, Jalen Hurts is speaking today at 10:20, so you're going to be down there. The Eagles screwed me on that one.
Yeah. If you got any questions, just let me know. I'll ask them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure Jalen will give us all the skinny on his injury. So let's start it there, Bob. I mean, again on Tuesday, Nick Sirianni made this, quote. We knew he was going to be really hurting, essentially, and Jalen knew he was going to be really hurting. I think the actual description was hurting like hell. What the hell is going on with this injury? It's supposed to be 2 to 3 weeks. Now the quarterback's still hurting like hell after the 3-week period. Is this gamesmanship or is this real?
I'm kind of wavering between those. Maybe he did get it hurt more, and they just don't know how to tell us that it was hurt. The injury was more significant than they thought. You know how they'll leak stuff out to the national. Yeah. So maybe they're trying to. They're not going overboard with trying to cover themselves for that, but that might have something to do with it. And I mean, and for him, I thought it was unusual for him to say that he was in pain. So I guess a lot of people, I guess he must have heard that people were thinking that he could have played anyway. And that bothered him.
Yeah, they did a disservice to Jalen Hurts. When they said, remember way back when he burst in, they were talking like he might be back in Dallas 6 days later and saying,
I got to admit, I heard that he could have played earlier too. So, I don't know what to think. Yeah. But you're right. At this point, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of mixed messages from this organization when it comes to Jalen Hurts' health. But despite that, Jalen Hurts has had a season that we ultimately didn't really see coming. I'm pretty sure we all thought he would improve, but to the levels that he has improved, I don't think any of us really accounted for that. And, I have to ask you, Bob, all things considered, now that the regular season is behind us, and now we also have so much more football to play. But again, the regular season is behind us. It is what it is. We saw what we saw from Jalen Hurts. He went 14-1 as the starter. The team ended up going 14-3. What has impressed you the most about Jalen Hurts' development this season?
His decision making, and he's known, at least until the Chicago game was a little bit of an aberration. Maybe that cold really did affect him, but his decision making was really good until that game, and he took some shots there. So maybe it was the cold. He said he wasn't used to playing in that, but he's known exactly when to throw, when to hold the ball. And look, some of those touchdown runs that he's had 11 of them, right? Is that right? 11?
Yeah. I think 13, 12, something like that.
Yeah. But he just walked into the end zone, sometimes from 5 yards out, sometimes 3 yards. It wasn't always that double push quarterback sneak or anything. I mean,
that's really the height. That's like the core of their red zone efficiency.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
But he had 13 was the actual number, 13 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah. Got 13. Wow. I missed a couple, but yeah, I got to say though, I mean, his ability to see things down there and last week, what was it? Incompletion out of bounds when he was in the red zone, he rolled out and then threw.
Well, they took the zone read off the table. That's the problem I had, Bob, because they're so effective. It's not about Jalen Hurts even running the football. It's the threat of him running the football to the opposing defense. And when you take that off the table, and Wink Martindale kind of figured that out during that game, it becomes much more difficult for the Eagles. It becomes much more difficult.
And they had a real vanilla attack too. They didn't show anything because I think they know they're going to play the Giants. We all think the Giants are going to beat the Vikings.
Most
I
people
do.
do.
I do.
You know,
I'm with you, Bob. I do. I think it's going to happen. I'm sorry.
I don't see the Vikings stopping them. You know, they rested Saquon and some of those linemen. They're
Boy,
going
man.
to be smash mouths. So, but
I mean, people who watch this show know that I've been saying the Vikings are a fraud basically all season, but they're better than the stinking Giants.
Well,
I mean, I'm
offense.
stunned. I'm stunned how many people are. Now, the Giants might beat them. But
Well-
I'm stunned how many people think like they have no chance at home, and that's a very difficult place to play.
Well, didn't they get beat by Dallas at home?
Oh,
Crushed?
they got destroyed.
They got
by Dallas.
bounced.
But
Yeah.
But they're 8-1 at home. That was the only game they lost at home.
Yeah. Well, I just have I don't think they can stop anybody. I really don't.
Oh, they don't. Their defense is terrible.
Got to get a big lead and then hope the other team throws it every day.
But I'll say this: if you're Wink Martindale, you're blitz. We all know Wink. He blitzed 1,000 times against the Eagles. You're gonna let Adoree Jackson, who hasn't played for the second half of the season, cover Justin Jefferson one-on-one.
Wink does not care, John. Wink does not care.
I think he's right there with Bradbury. Probably a little bit better than Bradbury.
Ooh,
cover
there's
guy.
a Bradbury. By the way, Bradbury named All-Pro, Bob, on that NFLPA All-Pro team.
NFLPA, yeah,
wasn't it? Was Tone?
No, it was Sled.
Correct me
It
on
was
that.
Sled.
Sled.
yeah.
I
Okay.
saw Bradbury was an All-Pro
Pro
somewhere.
Football Hocus Pocus or whatever it was. Yeah, I think.
Now that was TJ. That was
Yeah.
TJ. TJ was Pro Football Focus All-Pro.
Yeah.
team.
Well, TJ's
TJ's a good player, man.
I think he's
good
good.
player.
I don't want
Good
to
play.
mention him. Bradbury's okay. Yeah, I mean,
You like Bradbury now because he's such a nice guy.
he's a good guy, and
He's a great
I
guy.
just don't think he can. I don't think he can run with those younger guys.
No,
man.
he can't. But
he
so
makes
smart.
up for it with
Yeah.
savvy. Yeah, he's very very smart, and he's earned himself another contract, if not with the Eagles, with somebody. But yeah, I mean, Wink Martindale. I mean, their defense is the Giants' defense is a lot better than the Vikings' defense.
Well, everybody's a lot better than the Vikings. The
But
problem is the Vikings offense. I'm putting the over/under on Jefferson at 180 on whenever they're playing, Saturday, Sunday.
I don't know. I would. I'll take the under on that because, and for this reason, I don't think they're going to be able to get in a rhythm. I think there's going to be a 3-and-out here, and then you're going to have the Giants going up and down the field.
Well, I will say this from an Eagles perspective. They have 4 potential opponents.
Yeah.
I think the easiest one of those opponents would be the New York Giants that everybody loves. So it's the Seahawks, Giants, Cowboys, or Bucks. I think the easiest path for the Eagles, they'll beat the Giants 99 times out of 100.
Yeah. Well, I think the easiest path is the Bucks. They don't have anybody left. Everybody's
Tom Brady, though.
Tom Brady, sir. He makes me nervous.
Yeah, but the Eagles can bring the pressure right up the middle. I mean, you're going to see.
Ryan Jensen's coming back, though. Ryan Jensen's coming back.
Yeah, you'll see 33-and-outs. He'll be throwing the ball away, or he'll get sacked. I mean, and they can't score points. When was the last time they scored any points?
And the Eagles they usually only score points in the last 2 minutes. That's what concerns
bad day,
people.
the Eagles get what, 22? That's twice as much as you need to beat the.
Well, they should beat all 4 of these teams. Any potential option.
I mean, that's the team that I would like in the first round. Well, actually, the team that I would like them to see them play is the Cowboys. You know, their heads are going to be into it from start to finish.
Yeah, but the Cowboys are my only concern because they have some talent. The other 3 teams are talent deficient, as they say. They're limited, as you taught me to say, Bob.
They had some problems. Yeah, they had some problems that last game, though, and there was something to play for the Cowboys. They played.
Oh yeah, they're very inconsistent.
I don't know what was going on there, but yeah, I mean,
but when they play well, and you only got to play well on one day. When they play well, they concern me. Those other 3 teams are very, very limited.
But they don't play well on one day in the playoffs, John.
Well, that's true. That has been the recent history.
Remember last year? Was it last year when they didn't know what the rule was for?
Oh my God.
Yeah, Dak. Yeah, Dak Dak didn't know what the rule was.
That's
Dak's,
unacceptable.
That's Dak's problem. The head coach, all the coaching staff, and even the center. I mean, who does not know that rule? I mean, you got to know that.
Especially when you've been a starting quarterback for years and you see the official place the football every single play.
That's why, and against the Eagles late in that game, the 40-34 game, I mean, Dak, he's running out of bounds. He's throwing the ball incomplete instead of just, they had what did they have, a field goal anyway? He's throwing incomplete to stop the clock. His time management and that staff late in the game, it's awful. I mean, I don't trust him to win a close game. I don't trust the Cowboys to win a close game unless the other team's going to have to lose it. So that's where I am with them. That's why I wouldn't worry about them. And I think the Eagles will be really pumped up.
So all right. So let's do it for most difficult. So you have Seahawks, Giants, Cowboys, Bucks. Who would be the most difficult of those 4 teams? The Giants?
Seahawks, Giants. Yeah, I think they would.
I can't understand.
They don't have anything left.
For the life of me.
Pound against Minnesota.
Tone,
that's the Super Bowl.
Tone, you are you're going to be here on Monday. Feel free to mock me. And the Giants might beat the Vikings. I'm not saying that because the Vikings aren't good. But if the Giants come in here and give the Eagles a game, feel free to mock me because that ain't happening.
I'll tell you this too. Hold it. And the Eagles too. When they have time off, they have a history with Sirianni of coming back rusty.
Well, they might struggle for a series or two, but the talent will.
You go back and look at the history of Sirianni. That's when they've struggled a little bit. Even against, who was it? Against Texas? Was it Texas?
Houston.
Yeah, Houston right. And the Colts, I think, right? They come off a bye week going into the Colts.
Right, exactly. I mean, they have issues. So, and those are two. What are those teams? They combined for like 7 wins or something like that.
Yeah. They were road games too. Houston short week.
They got a good road record though, John. I mean, there's a history of this team when it isn't playing every week of having some having problems. They give the other team a little bit more.
I'm opening up the trolls. Feel free. If the New York Giants come in here and beat them, or even give the Eagles a game,
I got them beating those teams though. Any of those teams. I mean, the NFC is not good, and those teams are, in my mind, they're not good. Even you can say that. How did Minnesota get 12? What is it? 13 wins?
13.
They had to play a bunch of NFC teams, and some.
I don't know how they got to 13 wins, even playing all those teams.
Yeah, look.
Let me ask you guys this then. Let me ask you guys this. We brought up the Cowboys, right? We brought up Dak Prescott and the debacles they've been a part of over the past few years. I have to ask, who's under more pressure to make noise in the playoffs, Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott? And I would love to get that perspective from both of you guys right now.
Yeah, I got a tone. I would say that this is a real tough question because Dak is under immense pressure based on talked about what he did last year, and I think he's only won 1 playoff game, right?
Correct, 1-3. Yep,
1-1. Yeah. So I guess he's under a little more pressure, but Jalen Hurts is under a lot of pressure too, because he's got what is it in January? The Eagles have his option for next year.
Yeah. No, he's got 1 more year, but they can talk extension after.
Exactly. I mean,
they can talk extension right now. Actually,
this is worth a lot of money. This and the next game, which I think it's going to be against the 49ers. So I would say a little bit more pressure on Dak, because then the Cowboys, if they lose, if they lose to the Bucks or even the next round, they can't just blame it all on McCarthy. I don't think he'll be back anyway. They'll try to do that, but I think the players will know. But there is pressure on Hurts for that, basically because of that contract thing, and he's hurt too. I don't, I don't know about.
Is that the ready-made excuse that the Eagles falter in the playoffs?
Well, he's hurt last too. Remember, he couldn't run around. Yeah, I mean, and that's that's like, we sometimes we kid each other about this, is that sustainable, like with different players and that style he has to take off and run, is that sustainable? You better, you can, I mean, he did it with no issue. And then
it only takes one hit.
Like at the end of the year, when you need him the most, there's a health issue. So there's a lot of pressure on him too.
Yeah. Well, my theory on that is, no, it's probably not sustainable, but so what? We all thought Carson Wentz was going to be the franchise quarterback. Take advantage of what you have in the moment. He's not going to be playing until he's 45 like Tom Brady. So, I mean, they're the best team in football. Take advantage of this sense of urgency, and that's where I want to take you, Bob. Shane Steichen going to do his virtual interviews this weekend. He's got 3 of them. Jonathan Gannon, again, is a high-profile candidate for the Houston Texans.
I heard that. Yeah. I read somewhere.
Yeah, you read that somewhere.
I don't know who wants that job, by the way.
So, this coaching, it's very rare for a coaching staff to be back together for a second consecutive year. The Eagles were able to do that with this group. It's not happening next year. So how much is the sense of urgency that this team needs to get it done right now? Everything is set up. The NFC stinks, Bob. The NFC stinks. It's the Eagles and everybody else. Well, San Francisco's good. The AFC is a problem, but you don't have to worry about that until you get to the Super Bowl. Yeah, they got to seize this moment, don't they?
I don't think they know what urgency is, really. Right. I don't, not yet. Yeah. They got a lot of veterans here that know. Do they know it as a team? I'm not so sure. I don't know. I mean, they got a window. You have to look at them and say, with Jalen Hurts, they got a 3 or 4 year window. And by the way, I do think his style is sustainable if he's a little more prudent. If he gets
very prudent.
He wasn't prudent. That was, that game he was not. I mean, that game he made some of the worst decisions he's made all year, and it's
cold.
Whatever it was, that was not a good decision game. It wouldn't have been close, if he had done better. So, but and it was tougher to throw the ball.
It was cold, by the way.
You can't make excuses. But in terms of all that, John, urgency. Yeah, I mean, they and playing with a bye now. I mean, their last 3 games and now the bye. I mean, I don't know how you get them pumped up, fired up, for the first round of the playoffs.
Well, you better be fired up for the playoffs. But my only point,
they set all these records and stuff. Yeah, you're right, but they better be is right. But how do you do that? I mean, they haven't played great for what, a month, the whole month.
Here's what we had Ricky Ricardo on earlier, and he made the Giants sound like it was the Lawrence Taylor, Bill Parcells Giants. You have them too. My point is, if they're the most difficult hurdle, you will never have an easier road.
No,
you will never have an easier road.
The 49ers are the difficult.
Well,
hurdle.
Yeah.
I do think I don't think they're going to play great in the first round
but
either.
Even the 49ers, Bob, their starting quarterback is Brock Purdy.
That's hard to believe, isn't it? Mr. Irrelevant. Yeah. That's
look at the AFC. Look at the AFC. You have Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. You would have Tua, but he's hurt.
Trevor Lawrence.
Lamar Jackson, but he's hurt. Trevor Lawrence. Look at the NFC. Number 2.
Trevor Lawrence fan, Tone. That ball he overthrew in the end zone. I can't believe
that was bad.
That was
Bob Grotz. You are so unforgiving, sir.
Yeah,
so unforgiving.
That is Carson Wentz. I'm thinking, oh my God, how could you do that?
That was a bad throw. But
come down to a defensive.
Hey, Doug's got him going in the right direction, man. He's going to be a problem in 2 years.
But I still got to see more. He's
got to be a problem. By the way, Press Taylor's not an idiot again. Isn't that funny how that works? He was an idiot. He was the greatest coach in the history of the world. Oh, this young guy is so innovative. Then they got mad at Doug and they said, get this idiot out of here. Yeah. Now he's a decent coach again.
How about the job his brother Zach is doing in Cincinnati?
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, Burrow, it really does help, but and he just, that Joe Cool moniker on him, he does look cool. I mean, he's kind of like, there's another guy, great decisions, just really good. I mean,
the second best quarterback in the NFC is 45 years old. And number 3 is either Kirk Cousins or Dak
I don't know.
Prescott.
If you looked at what he did this season, you can't say that.
Yeah, it might be Kirk.
You can't say that. Yeah.
Number 2 might be Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Watching
it
him,
will never be easier.
Tom Brady's down year is a great year for a lot of other guys, by the way.
Yeah. But watching Kirk Cousins is like watching one of those old black and white movies on TV, or Johnny Unitas in the Hot Tops. Oh my God! Excuse me while I yawn. Ugh.
Oh man!
when he's airing it out to Justin Jefferson, I mean, there's not going to be a lot more of those highlights because Jefferson will get tripled. And by the way, what happened to Adam Thielen? Is he just?
He's old. I mean, everybody doesn't stay in state. He was a great.
I remember
receiver.
when he used to be good. Yeah,
I mean, he was a great receiver.
You don't even have to cover him now.
No, you don't. He's lost.
Red zone.
It happens
for sure.
It happens.
Yeah.
It definitely does. Bob, you brought up the fact that this team struggled. Right, 1-3 in the last 4 games, 2-2 in the last 4, and some would argue that 2-game losing streak, the Cowboys and the Saints, may be a blessing in disguise. And follow me here. When you lose, it forces you to revisit your flaws, right? And you can make an argument that this team, especially the coaching staff, you can make an argument that this coaching staff entered the past handful of games a little bit overconfident. And overconfident to the point where they didn't bother to alter their game plan at all for Gardner Minshew. Now, granted, no need to change your entire offense for just one guy over the course of a couple weeks. I don't believe in that, but it just seemed like they didn't even try to get him comfortable. And I'm of the mindset overconfidence can be just as dangerous as not having any confidence at all. So, do you think this 2-game losing streak forced this coaching staff to really double back and really try to get right and revisit their flaws and tighten up? And also, how much confidence do you have in this coaching staff's experience handling a bye week, going into the divisional round, trying to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, they great points because they definitely are taking a look at this stuff. And one guy that we haven't really mentioned, but who was a factor, he got hurt in the second half of the Dallas game, is Lane Johnson, and that I mean, that's going to be a big factor. How long is he going to be able to go? And, we all know that he's going to go out there and try to play with a sports hernia, but how long is he going to be able to go? And oh, by the way, I on Merrill Reese's show the other night, Dick Vermeil was on there, and he was talking about the Lane Johnson thing. And he's just, we all know what a shutdown type of tackle Lane Johnson is. His guy never gets through. And what a big deal that is to have somebody like that. But he was saying that they better have they better have a really good plan for the backup, because he's not sure that, usually what happens when somebody has an injury, significant injury like that, is the backup doesn't get enough starters rep, and then you have to put the backup in and bang, you're in big trouble. So and I think that was part of that tone with the loss to New Orleans, a big factor. I don't know how many times Minshew was sacked, but it also was a factor in the second half of that game with Dallas. So they better have a really good plan. And I don't know what you do. Driscoll's still got to be the guy, right, John? Still got to be the guy there.
Yeah.
But you better have a better plan than what you had in any of those.
Well,
games.
they got to help him. They just can't leave him on an island and say, "Hey, do what Lane does." I think. To let you know, Bob, change in the schedule. Jalen Hurts will speak after practice today.
Oh my God.
So you got up early for no reason.
Do you believe they did that?
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
So anyway,
John, I'll use the time to floss. You know what I mean? Like they think that's really funny, so I will floss. Yeah.
Yeah. For those who don't know, we were on Zoom with Nick Sirianni on Tuesday, and he nearly choked when he saw Bob flossing on Zoom.
Hold it. That's what Bob Lang said.
Yeah, that's what Bob Lang said.
Yeah.
Man, you're a 101, Mr. Grotz.
But as far as Nick goes, Nick Sirianni. By the way, did he seem tired on Tuesday? Is that me? Did you get that sense?
You could probably you're probably better at that body language than me.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, Jalen Hurts kept him up late, man. You know, after the game, he said, "Listen, we're going into the film room. I don't care what the kids say. I don't care how much taco soup you have to make. We're going to the film room. So I'm gonna keep you behind up."
Yeah, I would have sent Jalen off to Cabo. I would have said, if you see any of the Cowboys down there, tell them to, But I would have gotten him away. He's got to get out of the building. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Dick Vermeil and his history with this organization,
and very impressed with this Eagles season and with the coaching. Sirianni and his staff. Yeah. He said people don't realize how hard that is to win all those games. And, especially with a bull. There's always a bullseye on you in Philly. He's very impressed with Nick Sirianni and his staff.
So that bullseye, and nobody knows it better than Dick, the pressure of being the head coach of this team. So we all know the numbers, 14 wins, franchise, 70 sacks, franchise record, top 5 offense, top 5 defense. It all goes away if he doesn't perform in the playoffs, right? So how much pressure is there on Nick Sirianni?
There's a ton of pressure,
Yeah.
And he's got that other thing going with not knowing about what's going to happen with his coordinators. That's new for him, they did interview last year.
Gannon had 3 last year, so there was some of it.
But still, how can that not be in the back of your mind? Especially you got a bye week to think about it. Yeah, but they better have some pretty good plays. I mean, they better open up that playbook, whoever it is, and just really get after it, and just cross their fingers that the quarterback doesn't aggravate that injury. You think he aggravated that injury in the game?
I don't know. We're going to have a doctor. We're going to have Dr. Jessica Flynn on tomorrow. I'm excited to talk to her because I don't know what's going on with this stinking injury. Ask
her about that deep throw that he made. I mean, that's as far as I've seen him throw the ball since he's been with the Eagles. Remember?
I don't think the throwing part is the problem. I think the contact is the problem. I think the contact is the problem. But I'm not a doctor. At Bob Grotz from the Delco Times, read. Are you going to write about Dick Vermeil? What he thinks about this thing?
About it. Yeah. He just he thinks like you guys, definitely. He thinks that there's only 2 obstacles for them to get to the Super Bowl, and those are the Niners and also the Cowboys. He thinks those are the teams that have
I'm with Dick. See, great minds think alike. Yeah, I think it's clearly San Francisco, but Dallas after that would be the most difficult.
And just real quick with the San Francisco thing, the thing that really he brought up an interesting point. How many times have the Eagles been tested by a real rugged team like that this year?
They're very physical.
Like that.
Now, we all talked about Tennessee, but Tennessee, we didn't know Tennessee was falling apart at the time.
They were all hurt.
Yeah, they were all hurt. But that's a very physical team.
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, that they still checked that box. They won convincingly, but and the playoffs, the intensity goes up. But the other thing too, he said, they got Brock Purdy back there. He may be 5-0 as a starter, but he hasn't been in the playoffs either. So
I don't trust him.
He'll have a game under his belt when he gets to the.
Yeah, I don't trust Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
I don't trust him.
He has that team around him. It's kind of hard to trust him fully, right? Mr. Irrelevant, as they say.
And the defense,
defense is great. Defense
is
great.
Spectacular.
Our old buddy D'Amico Ryan's potentially going to be a head coach in this league.
Where do you think he ends up? Where do you think you got both you guys? Where do you think he ends up?
I don't know. The problem with D'Amico is he's a defensive guy, and most teams aren't looking for defensive guys. Well, they aren't looking. They want offensive guys. They all want offensive guys. I don't agree with it, but that's what they want.
Remember John Harbaugh?
Yeah. He's still doing a good job.
All right. Tough. Well,
I don't really know where D'Amico will go, but Bob the Hammer Grotz, sir, we appreciate you always for coming on to the show, man. You provide us with a lot of insight. You provide the people with a lot of entertainment, man. You're one of one, like I always say, sir. We appreciate you.
And now you can go in the dollar store because Jalen. There you go. You got the
Oh
applause.
my God.
And Jalen is not. Jalen got pushed back, so you can do whatever you want. You can go to Royal Farms, Wawa, get some AM PM coffee.
You think you got more treatment?
Maybe.
I don't know, but maybe you could buy James Bradbury some Bengay or something. Maybe he'll loosen those knees
after
up.
that MRI, yeah. Dollar store Bengay, yeah.
Oh man, Bob Grotz, thank you so much, sir. You've been great.
Suffered 3rd-degree burns, yeah. There you go. Always a pleasure,
Bob.
Though.
Thank you.
Take care, Bob. We appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Oh man, Bob Grotz, man, he is one of the funnier guys that come with this show, man. But also, again, does great work for the Duckle Times as a sports writer. On top of that, does great work for WIP and WBCB 1490 AM. So we're going to go into our final break of the show. It's the home stretch. This is Birds 365. He's John McMullen, and I'm Tony Deshields II, filling in for the famous, the one and only Jody McDonald. We'll be back in a moment, guys.